Hello and welcome. It is, of course, the news, the galactic news. Well, not entirely, but with a special guest, which we will begin very shortly, as soon as we make sure that everything here is working. And it is. So, without further ado, I bring you the news. Here we are with our guest, Maxwell. Welcome. Well, we are glad to have you here. As you can see, we are using our multidimensional device to broadcast Maxwell live into our studio. Our conscripts are working hard to make sure everything is working. This will be a departure from our standard news, of course. As well, we have a special guest. So, as always, I am your host, Casimera Basilius, and this is, do I call you Maxwell or Maxwell002 or? Okay. Indeed. Imperial Lord of 3 star systems. Yes. Basil works just fine. Yes. Yes. That's a long story involving an arena and hmm. They just call me Basil with no reference to the plant at all whatsoever. Yes. Um, Unrelated to the plant, very much so. But I'm not going to throw you in imperial prison for that or anything. Um, so usually we cover news, but as we have a special guest, we will be doing, well, as an Elysian, I'm sure you have many questions about our galaxy. After all, we are in a slightly alternate dimension. Elysian, yes. Well, I think. Maybe you're not Elysian, I'm not sure. Elysia, yes. Old Elysia. Well, we don't quite have your soul system in our dimension and or galaxy. Both. But specifically, we just call you Elysian. Long legal debate. No, of course not. There's multidimensional fuckery involved. In short, specifically, dimensional rift, theft of imperial technology, large crime, Elysians pulled through, many Elysians, not all of them, of course, pulled through into our galaxy via a rift in space-time. We eventually put a stop to it because dimensional instability and dimensional technology use is against the law. So, well, we basically consider Elysians, well, people from Earth, Elysians, because, well, if they're from Earth, well, one of the dimensions of Earth, specifically, well, stole dimensional technology, and we'd have to kill everybody. We'd have to, we'd be obligated to just kill everybody. But by changing the name to Elysia, we are no longer obligated to do that. It's a win-win. I mean, it's mostly Elysi well, it's mostly imperial policy on a larger scale. It's not like I personally was involved in any of that. Well, mostly. I happen to enjoy Elysian culture. It's why I decided to broadcast to Elysians. Unfortunately, no. Sharing of imperial technologies is strictly forbidden with, well, non-Elysians. Not non-Elysians. Words are hard. Non-Imperials. Um, Especially Elysians with the whole dimensional thing. Yeah. I mean, the Council didn't steal Imperial technology, so I mean, we wouldn't share with them. They're also our greatest, one of our, not greatest enemies, of course, but, rival. Well, that gives the council too much credit to consider a rival. And what do you call somebody who's a nuisance? The Elysians, not Elysians. I mean, Elysians are a bit of a nuisance, but so's the council. What? No, we bring. I'll go in my rant again. I'll do it. If there's one thing imperial culture is known for, it's monologuing. All imperial lords know how to give a good monologue. Luckily, imperials usually monologue from the bridge of their ship. But we today are broadcasting, of course, from my personal palace. No, no, planet bound on my capital world. We have two broadcast sites. One's my ship, one's my palace. I literally just have the conscripts. They're right down here. They pick up the device and carry it onto the ship when I need them to, or carry it back. They carry the desk and the console. It's not easy to get it through the corridors. No, 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 no. I I walk. I'm not like those other imperial lords who gain their titles via birth and just inheritance. I earned my title in the fields of battle. I was a conscript once. I mean, every imperial was. Well, except for lords who gained their title via inheritance, but that's they do their conscription in a different way. Don't worry, I won't ramble about the intricacies of imperial politics unless you ask. Don't worry, we'll censor this bit. I assure you, all of our galactic citizens are only hearing beep, beep, beep. Good attempt. So, go on. Oh, we're not an imperium, we're just an empire. Mm, no. Um, by technicality, there's a long list of equipment and items that can and can't be sold to non-Imperials. Generally, most distributors and sellers will just simply not sell to uh, non-Imperials, but it really depends. Like, there's contracted gear sold to the Empire. For instance, you can't go on the market and put, well, I suppose you can go on the black market, and it's not like we hunt down people who sell conscript armor on the black market. There was a whole First Galactic War in which, well, many Imperial conscripts were unfortunately lost to the forces of the galaxy, and their gear was out there probably, and well, there's reproductions and refurbished gear and all sorts of stuff that was lost that we don't really care to hunt down, you know? But like, you won't find a distributor selling from the Empire selling you modern, just produced Imperial gear without a license. They might have a license to sell it, but it's really specific as to which gear they can and can't sell. Like you could buy Imperial food products easily. Yes, we have a wide variety of goods. We, strangely enough, despite not being originally from Elysia, we do have a lot of your Elysian species templates. So there's all those creatures out there that you would expect to find on your old Elysia, and more, of course, creatures you wouldn't expect to find, like corpse spiders. Of course not. Unfortunately, it would be rather difficult given the, well, multidimensional aspect of this. We can't really send anything to Elysia. Not all the, well, not all Elysia. Of course, Elysia founded their own nation here. They have their own little Dyson Swarm and Star sector over there. But for the most part, well, despite our ability to travel between dimensions, it does take a vast amount of power and at least a battleship. So it's best probably not to send one of those. Well, possibly. That unfortunately is probably up to your dimension to solve more than likely. We're limited to providing you information at most, and giving you a glimpse into our universe, which I suppose, if all goes well, we should see eventually. But yes, as I said, if there are any questions about our galaxy, I suppose, well, given the fact that we always ramble about it, well, I ramble about it here on our lore videos and World Building Wednesday and all that, it is nice to finally have a guest who can ask questions that I wouldn't think to ask or talk about more so. Where are we? We as in who? Yes. Yes. You are being broadcast via our multidimensional device. It's actually not even, well, it's a long story about what this device is, but that's not too important. Where we are is in my capital system. About fuck, where are we? That's sure a question. Where are we? Um, uh, I would like them to try. We're right here specifically. Not sure if you can see, but galaxy-wise, we are coordinates about 24 north, 1 east. Home world? No, no. So, every single planet, well, I say planet, more so system in the Empire, belongs to an Imperial Lord, or the core Empire forces. When I attained my title, I was given worlds awarded by my lord, the lord that I serve, Lord Aline Merritt. Aline Merritt, yes. As I am simply a dame and or knight in tier, meaning I have more than one star system and less than four, hence my specific title. But that basically, hmm? Yes, I am a lord. Yes. I'm not a high title. No, I don't have knights. I am a knight. It would be impossible for me to have a knight. Um, what? Medieval talk? No, 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 no. I have esquires and I have esquires who run my worlds. Well, technically I don't, but I have the ability to award two esquires the title of esquire to two individuals to run territories in my stead. I am contractually bound to award such things to A, imperial citizens, and B, well, other than imperial citizens, Terran imperial citizens. Other than that, like, it's real loose. Are they Terran? Are they an imperial citizen? I could award a world for doing nothing. But usually it's, given the fact that I earned my world via, well, in military prowess, I would award my world to other such individuals in my nation who achieve such reputations. For instance, my specific world is, under the Empire Nation rules, a meritocracy. It costs more to run. But yes, we get better rolls on skill checks. All worlds are Imperial worlds. They just don't know it yet. Yes, I mean, of course, they then go into the pool of conscription. But yes, for the most part. There are checks, however, we don't. You see, people of the galaxy seem to not understand Imperial culture. So, of course, if somebody just wanders up from, say, the council and is like, hey, I want to be an imperial citizen, there is a bit of a process of questions, loyalty tests, that kind of thing. On occasion, we, if you mean us as in the empire, yes. If you mean us as in me personally, no. Um, I have no qualms with the frontier. It's just so far away. I had this is embarrassing. I had one dealing with the frontier, not even the close southern frontier, the far southern frontier. The sector of Sacred Grove. I sent a force to conquer a system there. I was there personally, even. Um, Turns out it was a Dyson swarm. Turns out, despite being an Imperial Lord with some of the most advanced technology, a fleet of a few million ships cannot take on a Dyson swarm. No. Trillions of stations. Trillions of stations. Um, no. No, we tried to seize them. Every single habitat station has guns, will fire at our ships, and then every single station is a siege. Every time you send in the Marines, they board the station, high casualties, corridor to corridor fighting. It's not worth it. Taking a station, sure. Taking a trillion stations in that way, no. And it's not like it's just stations. They produce fleets at that Dyson Swarm, entire fleets of warships. We can fight ships 10 to 1 with Imperial ships. 10 to 1. It doesn't work when there are 100 to 1 or more. Hell, if there's 11 to 1, it's not good for our Imperial ships. If it's. They had more than 10 to 1 odds against us. Trillions of stations, quadrillions of ships. I didn't. I mean, if if my goal wasn't to seize the system, I would go long range bombardment. They'd probably come out to fight us, so that wouldn't work too well. Probably use our slightly better FTL, but you can't really fight in. You can fight in FTL, but you can't fight out of FTL. So honestly, the only option there is to Nova bomb the system. But that destroys the system and all the stations when the goal is to capture them. So, not. Hello, surrender. You shall now be subjects of my personal empire. I don't think they'll go for that. Many. Unfortunately, Nova weaponry is not a Imperial exclusive thing. Yeah. It's generally deployed against eldritch threats and existential crises to the Empire. If a fleet enters an Imperial system, we will have absolutely no qualms novaing it, but it doesn't destroy the system. It's a self-contained sphere. It's not like it wipes out the whole star system. But basically, tactical nova weapons just it does open up a bit of a problem when there's a rule against super weapon use for the most part. The only times nova weapons have been widely deployed in war, like in a full-on war, not just a defense or in an offensive manner, was the first Galactic War. So that was like 2,000 years ago or something. Yes. 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 Well, not all of them, but those who simply choose to be. Yes. I have seen the rise and fall of nations. I mean, life extension isn't an Imperial exclusive technology either. A lot isn't Imperial exclusive. There are many people of the galaxy far older than I. But every conscript gets a life extension. Well, it's cheaper in the Empire, and you get it for conscription in the Empire, as opposed to having to spend millions. I mean, many people work all their lives just to get a bit of an extension, then work more to get a bit more of an extension, then more for a bit more. A continual cycle of work, as opposed to, well, 2 years of imperial military, well, government service, and then you're set. I think military only. I'd have to double check as to whether we allow life extension to just any conscription branch or if it's specifically military. Well, we also pay ridiculously well. 400,000 Galactic Standard credits for 2 years of service. Indeed. We believe that, well, our citizenry, given being a relatively post-scarcity civilization, it's not like it costs us much. Well, it's getting harder and harder to keep up such costs. I'm sure all of this will be censored. Second Imperial Civil War. Yes. This news broadcast has been brought to you so far by our friends at Point Combat Templates. We would like to remind you that Point Combat Templates are a, well, supplier of all sorts of modular equipment available galaxy-wide. Yes, even in the Empire, they do have authorization to distribute to Imperial forces. Well, not military forces. Of course, we don't use their gear in the military. We produce our own gear. But our citizenry can freely and availably buy point combat templates, equipment, and gear, as you can most places in the civilized territories of the galaxy. Point combat templates for all your military and equipment supply needs. Indeed. Well, some worlds, it's not really a galaxy-wide thing. There's different worlds of different law levels, of course. In the Empire, we believe that all citizens should be allowed to keep some amount of weaponry. Specifically, a license is granted to any imperial who serves in conscripted via the military. So, well, not every conscription in the Empire is military, as I said, but we allow military grade equipment licenses to military conscripts. Indeed. I believe the council does to a degree. I'm not sure. They're so scattered in their worlds. There are many other factions than the council. It's just the Empire has a long rivalry with the council since the First Galactic War. Oh, mm, the Empire ended the First Galactic War. Neutrally. It's not like the Empire as a whole fought it. It was a bunch of lords. But the ships of the council? In what sense? The import. Here we go. Ah, the council fleets surrounding the council core sector. Yes. I mean, the council was the largest faction in the galaxy, even though, I mean, they weren't unified. They've never been unified, but they are one of the largest territory holders in the galaxy, second to the Empire, of course. But yes, currently they are split between the Council and the Systems Authority. However, we in the Empire do consider the Systems Authority the Council. Not in an official sense, but in a sense of they formed from the Council, so what's it to us? They have their methods. They like infiltration, uh, government overthrows, that sort of method of engagement due to their roots. However, of course, that has no effect on the Empire. You can't really infiltrate an election in the Empire when we are run by lords and so forth. Anybody who tries to go traitor is usually destroyed. The Imperial Commissariat handles such matters. I mean, in our current year, 7894, given the whole Second Imperial Civil War, it's quite easy to brand an Imperial Lord as a traitor. No. Yes. Depends. Yes. Yes, Imperial lords have rights, far more rights than an imperial citizen, to a sense. Actually, relatively nearly the same. I mean, it's complex, but yes, a citizen cannot accuse a lord of being a traitor. That's not going to work out. We would brand them as committing treason, and then simple solution. But another imperial lord can theoretically accuse an imperial lord of being a traitor, and or high up generals and so forth. I mean, a general, it would be on very shaky ground accusing an imperial lord of being a traitor because a general has less rights than an imperial lord. But generally, it would be handled by various other lords looking into it, and or if required, the imperial core forces looking into the matter. Yes. We are civilized in the Empire. We don't just go around killing people. As much as people consider the Empire evil, you don't run an empire on pure oppression. We give our people money, we give our people housing, we give our people everything they could possibly need. We don't just be like, hey, you're walking in the wrong place, throw them in jail. No, no, no. Yes. Yes. Well, Eldritch abominations arose long ago during the Imperial Ancient War, far before the First Galactic War, a few million years ago, I believe. Well, Rifts in Space opened. It's a very long story, very, very long story. Rifts in Space opened. Demons, eldritch creatures, eldritch deities, all sorts flooded into what is now considered eldritch space and void territory and anomalous space. Wild territory off beyond that is just the territories that were part of galactic civilization before that happened. They're now basically cut off from the rest of the galaxy. But a barrier was built of barrier stations that is currently jointly operated between the Council and the Empire, as some of the stations are in Council territory, basically bombarding anything that attempts to leave Eldritch territory. Nova bombardment, strange energy weapons, high explosive rounds, orbital bombardment, beam weapons, nanite swarms. Yes, yes. The Empire is not here to handle the containment of Eldritch forces. We do contain Eldritch forces, don't get me wrong, but we don't head around hunting down Eldritch forces wherever they are. That's the fun part. You don't. Um, for the most part, for the untrained, other than energy shields, which may have debatable effect, not leaving as fast as possible and or calling in some special forces and or very advanced technology, and perhaps lastly, as just the most risky way, as just an individual, knowing what you're dealing with. Unfortunately, knowledge of the Eldritch generally drives one insane. However, knowledge of the Eldritch is one of the few ways to fight the Eldritch. If you know the ritual to unsummon Cthulhu, well, then you're in luck. Unfortunately, you will probably be driven insane by it, but, you know, yeah. Generally, the ideal case is to contact your local military and hope that they can handle it. If they can't, I suggest fleeing the star system. Perhaps get an entire subsector or more away. I'd leave the whole sector, but I mean, I wouldn't. But if I wasn't an Imperial Lord, I'd start with contacting the proper authorities before nuclear weapons. In a pinch, one might have to resort to hoping that they can understand some Eldritch knowledge in a pinch, but local authorities, and then nukes, and then flee. What of casters? Well, there are magical energy fields in the galaxy that, well, they're an underlying energy field. Generally, casters are individuals who can manipulate those energy fields via arcane, divine, psionic, and or alternate methods, generally eldritch. Arcane, divine, and psionic are the three primary methods. Although it is debatable as to whether one can consider divine an alternate method. Divine casters simply are arcane casters that receive their magic via a deity. So it's basically arcane, but with extra steps. With extra steps. To a degree, to understand it to a degree, more dangerous. Well, not more dangerous, more troubling. It's not like it's more dangerous, it's just more finicky, given that you're receiving your ability to cast from a third party. Technically, we do consider people who receive magic from demons to be divine casters via technicality. Yes, offshoot of one of the ancient nations. Yes. But casters channel their specific type of energy using energy fields and, well, enact their effects via these energy fields on the target, whatever their target may be it a wide scale effect or a small scale effect. Of course, high energy fields do prevent casting. Yes. A caster cannot cast through a shield, and generally they have a real hard time casting through high energy areas. And they can also be easily distracted. It's kind of hard to channel arcane energies when you are distracted. They would not be able to cast outside of the field. They'd be able to cast inside the field, though. No, no. It would simply just not pass outside of the confined space. If they were trying to reach energy outside the space, it would simply not leave the space. Now, like, on a sense of, could you put a wall in front of somebody casting firebolt? Yes, you could put a wall in front of somebody casting firebolt, but that's not any more of a backfire than putting a wall in front of somebody shooting a rocket launcher. So, not really in the sense of an arcane way. Indeed. Yes. I wouldn't. But I suppose for, somebody not me, you probably, the minute you realize they're a caster. I mean, if you're a divine caster, well, then you have a plethora of. um, by running, I would suppose. I mean, yes, put as many doors between you and the caster as possible, as many objects between you and the caster as possible. Avoid the caster at all cases, get as near as strong an energy field as possible. Yes, I wouldn't. Okay, so no, 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 not in that kind of sense. In a sense of, well, I'll go with a standard example. If I was personally dealing with such a thing, I'd get my 30 millimeter and I would perch up in my powered armor as far away as I'm confident I can hit a headshot. and then I'd fire that 30 millimeter, and well, wouldn't you know it, the caster's head's gone. Caster can't really cast without a head. Problem solved. But I suppose any lesser caliber that can vacate a caster's cranium would work. Yes, we fought once in an arena competition. No, no, I defeated the jackal once in a competition. Yes, it wasn't difficult. Stubborn bastard for sure. But of course, nobody stands before the might of Imperial Lord. But yes, long ago, I was in the frontier. It was shortly before my invasion of the frontier. Um, I was attending a special event by a former Imperial faction, separatist faction. Uh, we allow them to exist, but long story short, X-Razors was hosting a event using Imperial technologies and the like, but we let them do that. They were holding a large arena event, basically. Lots of contestants from all across space and not really time, but space and some other dimensions for the most part. Big fight, good show was broadcast to a lot of places. I ended up fighting the Jackal. Well, it was a team-based thing. It's not like it was a one-on-one. It was me and a few other Imperial super soldiers and so forth. I mean, given the fact that he had just him, he had some associates with him, but let's be fair. His associates were no match to just Imperial super soldiers, but I'm pretty sure it was not super soldiers. It was a while back. It was me, I think Lord uh, Aline Merritt was there herself. I'm pretty sure. There was, and a few other knights, I believe. It wasn't that long ago. I'm not sure. I don't know him personally. I just fought him once. It's not like it was to the death or anything. It wasn't a to the death arena. It was a game show for the most part. Well, not really a game show, combat sports. Combat sports. More accurate. No, pretty much everyone was allowed to use what they brought. I don't know what that is. Oh no, no, no. I'm loosely, very, very loosely familiar. I only know of the one that people generally, I think, dislike. Unreal 2 The Awakening, which was very much specifically the single player campaign. I do partake of Elysian media on occasion, but I'm not really sure much about the arenas. I did the third one, but the third one loosely had a campaign more so than arenas. I think it was the third one. The Awakening, yes. I enjoyed it. My tastes in Elysian media are strange. No. I mean, I've heard of Quake. Who hasn't, but never played. Other than, wait, is Quake the one with the Strogg? I played the later one with the Strogg. You know, the one where you play as the guy who gets Stroggified. That one. I played that one. Yep. Another one, oh, another one that I quite enjoyed was Fracture. Yes. I think it was on your Elysian 360. It might have been on some other things too. It was a game all about terraforming, not terraforming. All the weapons in the game affected the ground. It was like the opposite of. I mean, the original Red Faction was affecting the ground more so, although there was a lot of things that were undestructible. Well, the later Red Faction, you could destroy the buildings, but not the ground. But in Fracture, it was very much like grenades that would either raise the ground, lower the ground, make ditches for cover, all sorts of stuff like that. Yes. Yes, I mean, in the original Red Faction, it was the ground you could destroy. In like Red Faction 1, in 3, is it 3? That's the console one. Let me check my database. Give me half a second. It was Red Faction Gorilla is the one I'm thinking of. Because there was one after Gorilla that was like, I forget what that one was called. Liberation, Armageddon, something. Mars Always Rebels. Are you about to say Mars Always Rebels? Yes, Mars Always Rebels. Um, or were you talking about something else? Mars. And then if they make a third one, it's generally just shit. I thought Dead Space 3 had your companion in the cutscenes, but it's been a while since I played it. You would see things that the other person wouldn't. As somebody who dislikes horror, I actually enjoyed Dead Space 3. I mean, I enjoyed Dead Space 1 and 2 too. I played through both of them. However, Dead Space 1, uh, I'd say, made me most scared. Well, Dead Space 3, I it was not was basically not spooky at all, except for maybe the ice base when you first land on the planet, and you have to go through the place with like the whatchamacallits, the people who are like partial necromorphs. I'd say, yeah, you are very silent. Mm. Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, yeah, how they peek around corners. Yeah. Then again, also speaking of my terrible taste in video games, I always ran the pulse rifle in Dead Space, even though you're not supposed to. But you know, I am a fan of assault rifles and select fire weapons. So the only downside with it was that it was not select fire, but I suppose fighting necromorphs it works, just not as well as the other ones. But it's what I preferred to use. Well, speaking of bots, one thing I want to say about that is I think all games should have bots. A lot of multiplayer games are like people only, or at least there were a bunch that were like, you have to have people on a server. I firmly believe that multiplayer games should have bots and AI to do things. Like my my favorite game that I used to stream a lot, which I should stream more of, Angels Fall First, is multiplayer. You can play with people or with bots, and you can always just have like two people and bots or so forth. Like it just has fully configurable bots. So you can play with them at basically any skill level. You can increase the difficulty, decrease the difficulty. They're actually making an update, which I'm kind of excited for, which they're increasing bot intelligence and tactics. But it's one of the games I played a lot. It's probably not archived here, but back when I was streaming on Twitch, I played it basically once a week. Indeed. Indeed. No clue. A reminder, this stream has been brought to you by Point Combat Templates. Point Combat Templates. All your equipment needs. Indubitably. Yes. So yeah, I mean, any other questions you have? Or Not really, neither do I. Okay. This portion of the video has been scrubbed for Imperial security. um, there are certain eldritch effects which affect the mind, yes. It is, however, not limited to eldritch effects. There are certain advanced effects that can be done by calculation of Terran and some other sentient beings neural activation that can cause episodes. Generally, Eldritch variants have far more versatility and capability, but there are non-Eldritch variants. For instance, an advanced enough artificial intelligence can produce patterns of colors and flashes and signals that can stun and or incapacitate certain individuals, especially those who are prone to seizures. Of course, they must have a medium to do so. Then again, there are also other forms of electronic. So there are biological variants, which are non-eldritch in nature, that are as such, attempting to hack a person through the visual medium. There are electronic variants, which can also hack through the visual and or auditory medium via neural data pad activation. If you have a neural data pad in your brain, these are far rarer, as neural data pads generally have protection against such effects. Eldritch variants are just like, well, yes, yes, yes. But those are the three primary variants. Yes. Um, hmm. Well, I suppose I should give a quick brief. We don't really have a full-on briefing available, but I suppose we can do a quick one. The Second Galactic War continues. The Council's made no progress. The Council will never make progress. Nothing really of major importance has happened in the galaxy, so all that continues well. The Empire will persist till the end of time. Well, beyond that, even. Um, Anything you require? To a degree. Ah. um, the Empire has a strict policy of not helping extra-dimensional entities. It's just Imperial policy. Well then, I suppose if there is there anything else, or of course, of course. That's what I was going to say. If there was nothing else, we should do that. It was great to have you on. Go check out Maxwell. Well, what is the exact? I always forget the numbers. Oh, you fixed it, didn't you? So it's now 00002, I want to say, and two L's. Indeed. So go check out Maxwell. And thank you all for stopping by. As we're going to call it there, and for as usual, I've been your host, Casimir Basils. This has been our guest, Maxwell, and I hope that you, yes, you, and you too, Max, but you, viewers, also have a wonderful day. Yes.